In Chapter 32 of Cold Shower for Managers, Plamen Petrov addresses a specific structural failure in modern leadership, the marathon of sprints. Many organizations demand that teams run at a 100-meter dash pace every day, indefinitely. But pushing for top speed without pause typically breaks a team's capacity before it improves their results. High-level performance relies on a marathon structure built from individual, high-intensity sprints followed by deliberate pauses. By the end of this video, you will have a framework to drive high-intensity output from your team without forcing them toward burnout. Managing a modern workload requires a shift in how we view speed, moving the focus from constant motion to calculated endurance. The first step is identifying the chaos of overaction. This occurs when teams frantically jump between meetings, creating an atmosphere of urgency without clear objectives. Petrov describes this as a hamster heartbeat. It is a state where frantic motion creates exhaustion, while the team stays in the exact same place. Burnout usually leaves three visible markers: chronic fatigue, a sharp rise in cynicism, and the dirty yes, agreeing to hallway tasks just to end a conversation with no intention of following through. These symptoms lead to pseudo-busyness, where employees prioritize low-value administrative tasks to maintain the appearance of effort while avoiding the work that actually matters. Constant motion without progress isn't a sign of hard work, it's proof of a structural failure in the team's operating model. When a team reaches this level of exhaustion, managers often look for external excuses, but the solution usually starts with looking at your own leadership. You have to answer one diagnostic question: how do I help this problem exist? If a manager is constantly out of breath and frantic, the team inevitably adopts that frequency. They mirror the leader's anxiety, eventually slowing to a crawl just to survive the chaos. Effective pacing requires you to check the battery. You must accurately track the team's actual energy levels before assigning the next block of work. This separates the thermometer, who merely reflects the panic of the environment, from the thermostat, who actively sets the pace. Team burnout is rarely the result of a deadline. It's almost always a failure of internal management pacing and the inability to regulate the room. The solution is to divide continuous, overwhelming work into strictly defined sprints. A sprint phase involves giving 100% effort toward a specific, time-boxed goal, such as a project launch or a critical production week. This chart shows the mathematical difference between these models. Continuous exertion leads to a slow decline in output, while the sprint and recover model trends upward overall. The graph's valleys are recovery phases. This is mandatory downtime used to realign priorities and rest before the next push. Software development teams use this logic in agile methodology, where 2 weeks of intense coding are followed by retrospectives and realignment. Elite athletes apply the same principle, planning their rest periods just as strictly as their training sessions to ensure peak performance. Pre-planned recovery is a strategic advantage required for maintaining peak machine performance over a long timeline. To implement this within your own team, you need to transition from theory to these 3 practical steps. First, align daily energy by asking for battery percentages. Second, block recovery time directly in the calendar. Third, eliminate pseudo-busyness. Consider this: if your team continues at its current pace without a pause, exactly when will the first person collapse? Your assignment today is to identify one team member who is currently in a state of oversprint. Explicitly authorize that person to significantly slow their pace for the remainder of the day and observe the impact on their focus tomorrow. Work is a marathon, but as the manager, you have the power to decide exactly when the sprints occur.